Most of us can look back in life and wonder how things would have changed for us had we made a different decision. It doesn't necessarily mean you would change anything in your life, but the curiosity can sometimes leak in. And this probably doesn't hit any group of people harder than people who are not only unhappy but also feel stuck with their current position in life, simply going through the everyday motions, getting by one day to the next, no real purpose, no real direction. It's a sad and honestly kinda scary thing to think about. But what if you had a do-over? What if you had a chance to change the course of your life and, more importantly, find a sense of purpose? That's where Tokyo Revengers comes in. More and more in the West, manga is becoming more popular, and I don't know, maybe just because North Americans are more willing to read now, I really can't tell you. But with that, I'm starting to be able to see when an anime is gonna become really popular based off its manga. And the first manga that I've ever really paid attention to on the come up and was able to see like, wow, that's gonna shake things up, is Tokyo Revengers. We see our main character Takamichi living the life many people share. We see him watching the news when the anchor says on air, 2 people's lives were taken as the result of a conflict having to do with the Tokyo Manji gang. Now, this alone throws Takamichi off, as it would a lot of people, because it's a sad situation after all, but after the anchor goes into further detail, he reveals that the victims were Nato Tachibana and Hinata Tachibana. Hinata Tachibana is Takamichi's one and only girlfriend that he had years ago in middle school. Now, this is a weird way to open a story up in my opinion, but weird not meaning bad. Opening to your story typically serves as a tone setter, but Tokyo Revengers gives us something heavy and somber, death due to unfortunate circumstances and events, then proceeds to flip that tone and feeling completely on its head. Going forward, it gives us a story that serves to do a complete 180 on whatever expectations these opening moments may have given you. So we go through the day in the life of Takamichi, and it's all pretty much him avoiding confrontation, and it can come across like he's a bit of a coward, but to me at least, I don't think that's the case. Sure, if you see Takamichi as a coward, that's understandable, and I won't argue with you, but these moments he's had at work and with his neighbor and with some local kids is more reminiscent to me of the average person in society today. I think the average person isn't necessarily afraid of confrontation, but if they can avoid it, they will. And this claim gets a little bit stronger towards the end of the video, but yeah. So that means putting up with minor annoyances and inconveniences to make sure not to step on anyone's toes. In his mind, Takamichi has decided it's easier to be annoyed in a 2-minute interaction rather than have a whole 10-minute blown conflict. After all this, Takamichi reaches the train station where he has a mini inner life reflection and dialogue, and he admits to himself and the audience that he isn't happy with where he is and the position he has in life. It's a moment we don't get to sit long with though, as...
え嘘死ぬと思った瞬間
After what seems like the closing moments to his life, Takamichi is sent back in time to when he was a middle school delinquent, the time where he deems his life headed towards the negative plateau and endless cycle he's stuck in now. Insert a few minutes of time travel tropes and he goes back to see Hinata, and immediately all the feelings he had back then resurface, and he decides what he wants to do and how he'll use this unique opportunity that's been granted upon him. Now pause. There have been some people who've been getting more familiar with Tokyo Revengers and seeing it gain a little bit of traction and popularity online and Twitter, yada yada yada, and some people are making this a weirder story than it actually is. Some people seem to view Tokyo Revengers as a story about a guy who's hung up on a short middle school relationship and wants a second chance at the girl, so he's gonna try saving her in the future. And at first when I saw this, I was like, okay, normal hater behavior for when an anime is finally getting some popularity. But there are a lot of people who view the show like this, and you're certainly entitled to think how you want, but you're wrong. Like very wrong. To have that outlook on Tokyo Revengers means one of two things. You either are missing or intentionally removing all the greater themes and symbolism in this show. When Takamichi goes back in time, he looks to save Hinata and her brother Nato. Sure, he's doing this because he has a small connection to them in the past, but they're both symbolic of something greater in Takamichi's life, and at this point, he doesn't even recognize it. Towards the end of the episode, Takamichi sees a kid getting bullied. Without any second thought, he fires off on one of the bullies and the other three run away. This is an exact opposite of Takamichi we saw in the beginning of the episode, who probably would have stood by idly and been a bystander. The kid, of course, without Takamichi knowing, ends up being Nato. There's also a moment where Takamichi throws down a bottle that he broke and threatened the bullies with, and Nato calls him out on it, and this alludes more to my theory that Nato nor Takamichi aren't so cowardly and afraid of confrontation. They again just choose to avoid it if possible. Small subtle thing that maybe some people didn't pick up on. So after finding out the little boy is Nato, he then gives a speech explaining the whole time traveling situation. Then he snaps back to the current time period where he's met by a now adult Nato. Takamichi changed the past enough to save Nato, but not enough to save Hinata, and that's when we learn that they aren't just people Takamichi wants to save, but they're symbols in his life. Those symbols being motivation and purpose. By saving them, he gains what they represent. He saved Nato, so now he has the motivation to make his life better. And when he saves Hinata, it'll bring him his true purpose and fulfillment that he seeks. Or at least we hope. And that's just episode 1. Yes, all of that embodies the very first episode of this series, so it's safe to say why it's so popular and will continue to gain popularity in the coming weeks and months and maybe years. I don't actually know how long of a story Tokyo Revengers is going to be. Even if this time travel gang drama revolved plot, it's a little weird. When you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, it feels kinda grounded and nice. And that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, go ahead and subscribe, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. I'm not your dad, but it'd be cool if you did. I make videos of this quality or better all the time. I'm leaving.